Hey, what's up? I'm now ready to switch my production Home Assistant dashboard from the aged Lovelace to the new drag and drop section layout. Follow me. What about Grace? This was the title of the new chapter aiming to rework the Home Assistant user interface. The current Lovelace dashboard was created not too long ago, back in 2019, but it already feels quite aged. It introduced Visual Editor, which was quite a change. Before that, everything was configured in YAML files, but this visual editing was only limited to configuring the individual cards. There is basically no way to edit the dashboard layout, apart from copy and paste functionality introduced recently. There were attempts to add a drag and drop functionality, but they always hit the limits of the masonry layout that keeps automatically refloating the cards in a way that uses the screen estate efficiently, but it keeps changing the position of the cards in a way that effectively prevents editing the layout. Personally, I've been using a customization called Layout Card, but there are three main issues with that. First, it's a customization, and the general recommendation is not to use any custom components unless you're ready to get involved in the development process. Second, it is not so easy. My favorite grid layout basically uses cascading style sheets functionality. So if you are a web developer, you'll be at home. But this is not the case for most users. And finally, it doesn't support visual editing. It's configured in YAML, so it's a step backward. So at the end of February, the team introduced the new section layout that solves all the issues. It was and still is marked as experimental. The reason for that is that whilst the underlying idea of simple, predictable, responsive layout with intuitive visual editing was pretty much set in stone, but the initial implementation was quite basic. So they expected to make quite a few changes. So if you'd moved your dashboard over, it would keep changing with each release. But with the September release, I believe most of the changes are now done. So I'd commit to move forward. It's still marked as experimental, but I believe that this label will be removed in the next release or so. The other reason I didn't move forward yet was that it was lacking the features to make it at least a similar layout to the one I use. I've tried, but it just didn't work for me. But now they made 3 changes that made it ready for the prime time, I think. First was the introduction of the header section in the last release. Then the ability to make some cards smaller and some larger, and to set the maximum number of sections horizontally. But finally, a change that is coming in this September release that will allow the cards to span across multiple sections. And I believe I can live with that. I have not done the change yet, but let's do that together. Now, there is no migration tool, so I'll have to create a dashboard from scratch. There are 2 reasons for that. First is that the layout is based on a different principle, and it would be hard to come up with a universal way to translate the layout from the old to the section layout. The section layout is based on sections. The number of sections in a row is determined by the screen size up to the configurable maximum number of sections in a row, but they always follow the same order from left to right, and each row has the same height. Then, each section can contain multiple cards, from 1 to 4 columns and multiple rows. In the masonry layout, if we wanted to combine multiple cards, we had to use the grid, vertical, horizontal stack, or list of entities, or glance card. The section layout promotes the use of the new tile card that is modern and quite customizable. The recommended way to add controls to the dashboard is to select the entities, and they'll be automatically added to the dashboard as a tile card. So now that I have explained why it is so great to use the standard tile card, I'll confess that I'll probably use a different card. My dashboard is heavily using the mushroom cards. I think I have fine-tuned them to fit my needs. So I'll probably just carry them over. Said that, Paul, who has created the mushroom cards, joined Nabukasa, and the new dashboard is largely his work. So you will actually find quite a lot of similarities between the new tile card and the mushroom entity card. And I actually think the new tile card is slightly better. But I use other mushroom cards, like the template card and a few others. So in that case, I'll just copy these over. And if I use the entity card, I'll stick with the tile card. Alright, so after this lengthy intro, let's open my dashboard and let's break it. Right, so this is my dashboard. I think you've seen it in my earlier videos. And the dashboard is using pretty simple principle. It's meant to be mobile friendly. So if I would press F12 to go to a developer tools, and I push this button here, the device emulation. If I am emulating now iPhone XR, for example, and as you can see, it fits nicely on one screen, everything. So this is one of the principles to fit on a mobile screen, because I use it mostly from mobile phone. And the other principle is it's rather simple. There is no tabs, no buttons I have to push. There's essentially one dashboard only that contains all the essential information. So I'd like to have the state of charge of my cars, remaining charging time, and so on. So these are template badges. State of a charge of my house, and then a couple of other controls. And the biggest part of our screen is occupied by the rooms. So each room is here represented by a button, and the button contains the lights with the they're on and off. And if I would just hold it, it will turn the lights on and turn them off. So it'll toggle the lights, and it'll show me the temperature in the room, and it's quite warm because it's summer. And it shows me the heating state. It's currently a low temperature, but the heating is off, so it makes no difference. And if I would push on one of those buttons, it'll jump into a sub-view with the devices and controls that are relevant for this room. So this sub-view is slightly different for each room. So this is living room, where I have a couple of lights, heaters, and here I can switch between the low and high temperature, and then some multimedia setting and quality of the air. And it's a sub-view, so the way sub-view works is it doesn't show as a tab on top of the screen, but I can get there through some navigation, like I push the button. And to get back, there is this arrow back in the title of the dashboard, and if I push it, it'll bring me back where I came from. So all of those rooms, they have something similar. And like for example here I have a house state of charge battery. If I click on it, it will bring me to the energy management dashboard, which will show you all the stuff about the energy, right? You saw it in my earlier videos. And I think if I would hold it, it will actually show me the more info dialog. So it has two functions, those buttons. So that's a quick intro about the dashboard, but this is not why we're here. We like to change it to the sections layout. So let's go there. So I'm gonna edit the dashboard. As you can see, those sub-views actually showed up. This is one of the ways how you can edit those sub-views. You can just click on them like here. But we're not gonna start there. We're gonna start on this home view. This is the only view that does not have this sub-view on. So that's why this is the only one which is visible. And I'm currently using a view type vertical, and it's from layout card. So this is a custom view. Those layout cards, these are normally you wouldn't see them. This is an add-on that I have installed. And the reason I use that is the standard is masonry. So if I would just go into the masonry, you will see the rooms there will move to the right of the screen. On a mobile phone, it will make no difference. It'll stay the same, but on my PC screen or tablets, it will look this way, and I don't like it, so I'm actually changing it to a vertical layout. No big deal. As I said, for mobile phone it'll make no difference, but I prefer this to look consistently on my screen. So I use the layout card, and then there is a width 350 pixels. This is what I could configure. This is one of the basic layout cards. I use some more complex one, like the grid view, but we will get there later. So, but we would like to change it. We don't want to use vertical, we don't want to use masonry, we'd like to use sections. So let's just click on sections and see what happens. Now, unfortunately, there is no way to switch between sections and one of the earlier layouts, the same way as we have switched from vertical to masonry, because it says you cannot change your view because migration is not supported yet. It says yet. I'm not even sure if it's going to be ever supported. Because the configure Lovelace, you use things like the grid card, and the sections and the grid, they don't have the same configuration, they don't have the same features. The section layouts can also use grid cards, but there'll be no point going to the sections and then using the old grid cards. So you would like to break all of those different cards and populate the sections with those individual entities. And you will see when we get there. So this is not an option, we cannot do that. So how do we do it? Let me switch back to the vertical. So the only way to do that is to create a new view. So I'm going to go to the end, hit plus, I'm going to call it home. And in the URL, I can't call it home as well because I already have one home, so I'll call it home 2. I'm going to rename it afterwards. And the important thing is here, I'm going to change it to sections. This is not default yet because it's experimental, so I have to change it now. And with that, I could hit save, and I have a new view created. There is one section already, and there is a button to create new section, and there is this button to create a header, but we will get there. What I'd like to do is I'd like to move this one next to my home screen, but drag and drop doesn't work in this top bar, so I have to use this arrow instead. Okay, so now I have the two homes, the old one and the new one, and let's start moving things over. First, the header. The header can contain badges, so I can here select either the entity card, entity badge, or I can use custom badge. Currently I have the mushroom customization installed, so I can use that one, or there's a manual, so I can use that as well. Or I can go by entity, which is a preferred way. So I can, for example, say control panel, and then I can select different control panels, for example, and it'll create badges just like that. And I can then configure those, for example, to only use the icon and not the not the state, and so on. So I can do it this way. So what I could do is I can come in here and I can open this one and copy one by one. I'm using template mushroom cards because, as you see, well, first of all, it's changing color, and I also see the state of charge and the remaining time. So I combine multiple things, so it's using a template. So I could copy those over. So I can say show code editor, and I can copy it from here, and I can get there. And okay, let me clear this out. And I can, technically I could say come in here and I could try to paste it, but this is not gonna work because the syntax is slightly different. But I'm gonna make it simple now. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just go to this whole mushroom chip card with all those of different chips. And one of the reasons is I don't only use templates, but I use other ones because there's the action and alarm and weather and so on. So I'm using not only the template one. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just show the code and then Command or Control A, Command C, and I'll go back to this new view. Here I'm gonna go to manual and Command or Control V. I'm gonna paste it. And I'm done with it. So I can break it to the individual cards later if I want to. But right now I'm fine with this one batch card moved as a whole thing. I don't think it hurts anything. Now we can do similar thing with the next card, which is a filter entity card. But I can do it differently here. I don't have to copy it as a YAML, but I can use those 3 buttons in here. And here I can say copy the card. And then I can come in here and I can hit plus in here, and then it show me paste from clipboard. Save, and the card is copied over. So this is cool. So we can continue. I can go to the next one. So I have those 3 buttons in here. Now here it starts to be interesting. You know what? I'm gonna just skip those 3 buttons. I'm gonna get to that later, but I will go to those rooms in here. So what I could do is I can go and copy it from there, and I can create a new section and paste it in here and save. So I copied that over. But what's the point? Because I like to have those sections so I can drag and drop those different components, and I can manage them from within the section layout by just copying this grid card and just pasting it there. It kind of makes no sense because I'm not using anything from the any benefits of the section card. So I'm not gonna do that. I like to do it slightly differently. So I'm gonna delete it from there. And the way I'm gonna do it is I'm going to actually open the grid card configuration, and here I have 12 cards. So I'm gonna go to each of those cards and I'm gonna copy each card separately. Then I'm gonna go into this new card. I deleted the section, so I'm gonna create it again. And here I'm gonna paste this individual card in here. I'm gonna save it from there. So I have just copied this one card, and I can do it with the second card. So again, edit, go to the second one and copy and close and come in here and paste the second one. It's kind of tedious. I wonder if there is a better way. So what I could do is I can duplicate this tab and open it in another window. And if I would in here open the grid view, and in here I will select the third one, which is Jacob, and just copy it from there, and then I go to the first one and paste it in here. Well, turns out it still has Clara in the clipboard, not Jacob. It's got the card we have used previously, and the reason for that is it doesn't use the computer clipboard. It's using the browser session. So it would be nice if you can move it between sessions, but unfortunately it doesn't work. So we can't do it this way. So we will have to do it the complicated way. So I will always go to the original screen, edit it, go to the third one, copy. Then I will close it, go to the new one and paste it, and I will carry on just like that, and I'll pause the video here and I'll get back when this is all done. Right, so I have finished adding those 12 buttons, so it's all nice. But there is one difference between the old dashboard and the new one. The old dashboard had, the buttons were smaller, they were in 3 columns. If I look at the new one, they're much bigger and they're in 2 columns. So is it a problem? Well, let's see. I don't know. Let's move. Let's go to this new screen where I have this dashboard. And as you can see already, it's not in 1 column. It moved to the right side, but it still doesn't fit on the screen. So it's kind of too big. Maybe I can scale it, but it doesn't change much. And if I hit F12 and go to the device emulation to the mobile, it's too big. It doesn't fit on the screen. Is it an improvement? Do I have a reason to migrate to the section layout? No, I think it's a change for worse, so I wouldn't do that. But we are not finished yet. Maybe we can, maybe there's a way. So let's find out. So what can we do? So first, if I look at each card, there is a layout, so I can change the size of each card. So the section has 4 columns, as you can see, and each card can be configured to take part of this section. So I have configured, or by default, it's taking 2 columns, and so 2 columns is half of 4, so it's taking half of the width of the section, so that's why there are 2 cards, one next to the other. But it's always 4 columns in the section. This is not configurable, and 4 is not divisible by 3, so there is no way to fit 3 cards one next to the other. So this is not going to work. Let's see if we have other way. So this is not gonna work. What we can try to do is I can try to create additional 2 sections in here, and we can try to put those cards into the 3 sections. So it'll be 3 columns in 3 sections. First, I'd like to have this section, well, first let's configure the card to be in 3 columns, not in 4. And now I'd like this one to be on top. So there's this new configuration introduced in September that I can configure the width of this section to occupy the whole width of the desktop. So I have it's taking the whole width. So that's great. I mean, the card, I still have to stretch the card, but let's deal with that later. And now what I could do is I can take this card and put it in here, and this card and put it in there. And then I can go to each card and I can actually say I'd like it to take the full width. Let's see if it works. Layout, full width, which is the same as if I would just click to all 4. So now I have 3 cards, one next to the other. Is it gonna help? And forget about a name here. Let's see. Now, if I go to this and I refresh this second tab we have in here, I'm not sure I like it, but I think we wanted to do it for mobile phone, so let's go to this mobile. And it's not helping at all. It's making those buttons even bigger, so they're not making them in 3 columns, but they're actually taking 1 column on the mobile phone. So this is not the way. So we have to find another way. Back to edit, and I like to actually make them smaller again, and then I can move those in here, and that one in there, and I can actually delete those sections now. So this didn't work. So the other way what I could do is I could actually try to make those buttons smaller. Let's see what happens. I'd like to make it not 3 columns, but let's try to make it 1 column, so everything is in 1 column. And in here, in the layout, I'd like them to take only 1 column. So now I have 3 cards, one next to the other, but each card is different size. So what we can do is we can make them all the same width. So we actually fit 4 buttons, one next to the other. Is it gonna be a problem? Let's see, let's finish the whole thing. Right, so we're done. How is it looking? It's actually looking pretty good. So before we had 3 columns by 4 rows, now we have 3 rows, 4 columns, so that's not bad. If I refresh the screen in here and go to the mobile view, it's looking pretty good still, so I like that. This is how it looked before. This is how it looks now. I'm still missing this 1 row of buttons here, so let's edit. So I'm gonna go to edit, home. So I'm gonna have copy 1. I'm gonna actually create a new card in here, and I'm gonna make it smaller. You know, I'll just move it on top. Okay, so I have it in here. Then second one, this one is actually a weather forecast card. So let's see how it works. So let's paste it in here. It can't do one column, I can only do 2 columns. But is it a problem? Because I need 3 cards in here. So this is the third one. And I'll just add it in here. Paste, 1 column. Done. Not bad. I think it looks pretty good. On a mobile phone, refresh. It fits on one screen. So I mean, here I don't see the percentage on the humidity, but I think I can live with that. It's looking pretty good actually. So if I compare it to the previous one, this is the previous one, this is the new one. It looks slightly different, but I think I can live with that. So am I ready to switch over? Okay, well, let's do that. So what I'm gonna do is, well, I'm not gonna delete the old one yet, but I'm gonna call this one in the URL home old, and I'm gonna mark it as subview. And this one I'm gonna call home, and if I hit done, dashboard is going to have this as a default card, and I will start using it. And if I want to go to the previous one, I'm gonna actually move it there. Then I can go in there and I can still switch to it. And if I like it, I will just delete this one. There is a delete view. So now I'm gonna go ahead and convert or decide which views I'm gonna convert. I'm gonna convert the views to the section layout. I'm not gonna do that with you because it'll be a way too long video, kind of boring. But I will pick one more view that I'd like to elaborate, and this is the one with the weather forecast. Because this view is using the layout card's grid view type, which I mentioned before. And what it does is essentially it's using the cascading style sheet grid template feature. So as you see, it's using those areas, and what these are. Each of the cards, it has assigned an area. Well, you can't see it here on this visual editor, so I have to open the YAML code, and I have added those 2 lines in each of the cards there. So it says view layout, so this is the configuration for the grid card, and for this specific card it's assigning it with the grid area warning, right? So each of those cards has a different one. If I look at this one again, YAML, there'll be somewhere a grid area temperature in this case. And then in the configuration of this view, it says that it creates 3 columns. One is 1/3, another is another third, and then the rest is the rest automatic. And the rows are automatic, basically fitting the height of the cards. And then there is the definition of the areas. So here I'm saying there's warning, and I have it 3 times because I'd like this to span across all of those 3 columns. So it's warning, warning, warning. The card is gonna take those 3 columns. And then I have the temperature that you also saw. So the first column is gonna be taken by the temperature, and then it's gonna be the 2 other columns are gonna be weather and weather. So it's essentially this is the weather on the right. So temperature is gonna take 1/3 and weather is gonna take 2/3. So it's rather complicated, but I think we can do similar thing with the section layout. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to, there's a forecast. I'm gonna like to create a new card. I'm gonna call it forecast. I'm gonna call it forecast 2, not to confuse the URL. And I'm gonna say sections. And I'd like to have 3 columns, the same way as you saw on the style sheets, and it's gonna be subview. So let's go for it. I'm gonna move it close to the actual forecast. There you go. So I have the forecast and I have that. So let's start. So this section in here, I'd like this to span all 3 columns, and in here, I'd like to take this card, copy it, and I'd like to have it in here. I have to say I'd like this to span the full width. Done. So far so good. Then the second card, I have this, well, I'm gonna use this is a grid view, so I'm gonna essentially for now use copy it over as is. I'm gonna say copy, and in here I'm gonna say create new section, and I'm gonna paste it in here. I should actually break the grid into the individual cards. It should be pretty simple because the grid is in 2 columns. But you already saw it, so for the sake of the time, I will just chuck it in here, and I'll get back to that later. So then I'm gonna add another section, and I'm gonna actually configure this section to take 2 columns. So it's gonna take a remainder of the screen, and in here I'm gonna just copy this card in there. So I'm gonna just paste from clipboard, save. Then we have another one here on the left again, copy, come in here and paste. Again, I could have broken that to the individual components, but let's leave it for now. And on the right side, I have this weather forecast. So I'm gonna just, again, copy this one, copy, and create section, make it span 2 columns, and paste. Done. So I think it's coming along pretty good. And then I can carry on like this. So there is one more card, this one, copy, and I'm gonna just put it in here for no particular reason, and then I'm gonna add one more in at the bottom, which is gonna be this rain forecast thingy. So copy, and then I'd like to take 3 columns, paste it in here, save, and I'd like this to take the full width. There you go. And I think we're done. I can say done. I think this one we need to resize still. So take that. And I think it's pretty much the same, if not completely the same. I think I will keep this one. This one is pretty much straightforward. This is giving me the same flexibility as the grid view, but I think you will agree with me, it's much easier because I was just using drag and drop, and in here I had to go to those cascading style sheets and name the different sections. And if you wanted to change something, it would be kind of difficult because I would have to always go in the YAML and rename it, and so much easier, much better. What I'm gonna actually do is I'm gonna go to this one, I'm gonna commit to it, I'm gonna delete it, and then I'm gonna go here and rename the URL to forecast. Done. So now when I click in here, it'll open the new card. So isn't that beautiful? So yeah, I like it. I think it's maybe not for every single view, but I think it's usable for most of what you need. All right, so this was fun. Let me know what you think. There are a few buttons under the video, so I guess you know what to do. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.